Yeah.
Let's start then. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi ajma'in. So the way I'm doing the buyer consultation is that I'm putting it into two parts. The first part is just going to focus on the mindset, and it's kind of important because without the mindset, I think a lot of people struggle. And what ended up happening is that even when I went through a buyer consultation training, I was with other team members. They went through the training, so it's not like training was inaccessible. People go through it, and then when it comes to actually working with a client, they don't want to implement it. And so the reason behind the lack of implementation is because people don't see the value in it. So I personally feel like it's not worth it for anybody to teach anyone how to consult if they don't see the value behind it, which is kind of why I have this first thing to go through, right? So my question is, and I'll need some engagement just here and there. I know we have a few people on the line, so whoever can, it would help me out too to kind of engage with the questions, right? So my first question is, what are you looking to get out of this training? Just quickly and briefly. If you're on the Zoom call, you can also mention it. That would help me out.
I can go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, my goal would be to understand how to approach the buyer, whoever comes to me, and understand what their needs are, right?
Okay.
And based on their needs, we can agree on what I should focus on.
Okay.
With the itemization of what their needs are or what their requirements are.
Okay. Okay, good.
That would be the starting point, right? But
Yeah.
then after that, I guess I basically I would want to have an outline content, what I need to cover as our relationship, because it's a new venture.
Yeah.
But to understanding their needs and their pain point would definitely help.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's kind of the idea, right? Like for you to understand, the question is like, what are you trying to get out of the training? So this training is supposed to help you understand how to approach your buyers, and it's supposed to help you understand how to figure out the needs of your buyers. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just a quick starting question, right? So this is why I want to go through this real quickly, right? Why consultations matter more than showings, right? The first thing is that if you don't respect the consultation, you'll ruin the conversion. What do I mean by conversion? Jushin, you know what I mean by conversion?
Signing the contract, basically. Having them basically, going to that venture together.
Right. So when I'm saying conversion, I'm referring to them hiring you.
Right.
Them accepting. Does a consultation mean that you've been hired?
No.
No. And we want to always make sure clients understand that hey, we're consulting you, but just letting you know that this doesn't mean I'm going to be working for you, right?
Yeah.
This is where buyers decide if they're going to trust you or not, and it kind of sets the tone for every future interaction. A lot of agents, what they end up doing is they skip this step and they rush to show houses, and they end up following the lead of the client. So the client ends up leading them in pretty much all parameters. So they'll decide when they want to go see the house. They'll decide how much to put an offer on. They'll decide if they'll decide everything. At this point, you as an agent are pretty much useless. Have you guys come across that before?
Oh yeah. 100%.
So yeah, so that's kind of important. So how do you kind of set this up? You set it up with expectations. Everyone in here, you guys are married, right? You guys are married? Yeah. So before you get married, you have to have expectations with your wife. And a lot of the times people have arguments with their spouses because it's about something they probably never agreed on before marriage. And it came up after marriage. And it leads to all this argumentation. Same thing happens with clients. If you don't have an expectation set, you're going to end up arguing for no reason. Another thing is that when you do this, you know how to establish authority? It shows you that you actually have a sense of professionalism about you. Like if I was part of this brokerage at Iconic Realty, I would probably have every single consultation in this conference room, because it sets the professional standard. Like, you want to talk to me? Come meet me at my office, right? And that's the way to do it. And that's a benefit of having an actual office in person, right? Instead of doing something over Zoom or something like that. But this is just a quick, brief introduction, right? So here's what I need you guys to do. Look at this. Common mistakes agents make. You're going to figure out what the gaps are, okay? So this is an exercise for you to understand. I'm going to tell you what the mistakes are. You're going to tell me what it ends up leading to, okay? And you guys can take turns, right? I think there's 3 of you guys. You guys can take turns kind of speaking to this, each one, and I don't mind. What, and there's multiple answers, right? Jumping straight to home tours, right? What is a problem that it can lead to from you guys? And you guys can take turns. So, Joshimba, you can go first. Dulaba, you can go second. Hassan, you can go third for the third one. So, what do you think happens, Joshimba, when you jump straight to home tours?
If you level set expectations and you jump into tour without following protocols such as, seeing the pre-approval and understand if they're capable, are they just browsing? Are they serious? If you don't know all of these things ahead of time and just jump into showing people, and it could be that sometimes clients come to you, they already have an agent, and it happened, they already have an agent, and they're already talking to another agent, and they're just using you just to see the house just because their agent is not available.
Right.
And they need to see the house right. So I've seen those instances happening to me.
Yeah.
But then if you don't talk to the client, what are you doing? Just browsing and wasting your time, their time, and ultimately your time is you're not valuing your own time. So
yeah,
I would say that would be one of the things that I've encountered.
Good. So basically, the client might end up abusing you, right? And might not even be serious about. That's one of the things you said. Might not even be serious about hiring you, right? That's good.
Exactly.
Next one, Dulaba, you want to go for the next one? What happens if you don't review, and it's just an estimate, right? What happens if you don't review the timeline or the fees with the clients early on? What can that lead to?
So, two ways. Like, one of the things, like, the people who want to buy the house, sometimes if I don't know, like, what's your timeline, what driving you to it. Like, let's say, like, I already sold my house and I want to get a new one.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm already in the contract to sell my house, I have a timeline like, hey, within 1-2 months, what am I closing? I need that one. Also, like, let's say, like, my kid is in the school age right now. I need to buy a house near the school or something. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
So these things, when I don't know about the customer's timeline, then I actually cannot schedule myself, or I cannot actually understand the urgency of the client.
Oh, good. Urgency of the client. Good. Okay.
It's misleading of, like, he's not trusting you, like, oh, you're not giving the effort, things like that.
What about fees?
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No, there's two answers. Okay, go ahead.
So the fees, I think, like, anything with the monetary, I think it's better to be transparent at the very beginning rather than the confusion. You can have a holding conversation. Let's say, like, I agree to 3%, he's saying 2% or something. Well, I at least need a approximate parameter where I can be. Now, if I'm in my mind, like, for 3% and you're thinking about 1%, without knowing that, when I come into the middle, then, like, negotiating at the end, and I think that's ruining the relationship too.
It ruins the relationship, right? Okay, good. Third one, Hassan Bhai, what happens when you talk more than you listen to your client? What can that lead to?
You're not really understanding what their needs are. You're not letting them tell you what they want. Instead, you're steering them in the direction where you think they need to go.
Good.
You're disconnected.
Good. Okay, good. And then the skipping pre-approval, I think Joshimba already spoke about it as well, right?
Yeah.
A common thing is that they'll end up looking at houses they can't afford, right? So let's look at the answers, right? Here. When you jump straight to home tours, you waste time and the buyers end up ghosting you, or they can, because there's no accountability with you. They don't have a relationship with you. When you don't review timelines, the buyer gets surprised and develops mistrust. Like, you didn't tell me I had to pay this, right? Talking more than listening, what you said is correct. But what it also ends up doing is you end up having a lot more showings.
You're figuring things out as you're showing them.
You haven't figured anything out. Yeah. You're just talking. And so they don't know what to do, right? So they just say, let's go to that house and that house and that house.
There's no boundaries or parameters.
Yeah. And then the last one, I already mentioned it, you're going to have false expectations, right? These are the issues every agent runs into. Look at what happens in everyone. The first one, you lost your time. The second one, you lost your reputation. The third one, you lost your time. The third one, you lost your reputation. Like, this is literally what's happening. And these are the two most important things for an agent: time and reputation. Agents are willing to overlook money. Money is not on here. But no one wants to overlook time. And definitely no one wants to overlook reputation. It's just not worth it, right? Okay, let's keep moving forward. So this is something I wanted to show you guys. We'll build it slowly, right? This is what ends up happening. When you end up having a consultation, and if there's too many words on the screen, it's okay. Just listen, I guess. What ends up happening is the agent skips, he rushes into it. The buyer sees about 5 houses, writes an offer with a different agent they met at an open house, which is what Joshimbai said, right? No consultation, no relationship. When you end up having it, you control the pace. And it's so important to understand that. Controlling the pace is your business. Imagine you go to Apple and you want to order a phone and they say it takes 7 days to deliver to your house. They're controlling the pace of when the phone is going to come to you. But when it comes, you're going to be happy with the product and you're going to wait your 7 days, right? If you can't, what are you going to go do? Come to the store next door and just buy it right from here, right away, right? You'll get the discount right here. But if you want that brand new phone from Apple, you're going to go to the Apple website and wait your 7 days or whatever you need, or what, you'll pay more for expedited shipping. They are controlling the pace of the entire transaction from A to Z. But you know what's going to happen. Does that make sense? Do you get angry at Apple because it took 7 days? Do you get angry at Amazon? You can't. So you are also a business. One of the biggest mindset blocks agents have is they forget they are running a business and not a job. Yeah, go ahead.
Leads to one question. I never even thought about that. So you know how you said the controlling pace, that part I'm good with.
Okay.
Expediting fee. So if, let's say, a transaction normally takes 1 month, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's like rushing it, and this happened to me recently.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of expectation. They were holding information from me, so I didn't even know
Sure,
I was
sure.
going to run into that problem. So once we go into the financing issue, they have so much things they didn't tell me about, like assets. First,
Yeah.
it's a straightforward. We don't have nothing. This is my dad is a doctor, and this is that. Then this guy has business.
But what's the
Yeah.
question?
So since I have to expedite this and I have to go through so many hoops and everything,
Yeah.
should we charge them at that point like extra fees?
No, so what's happening is the consultation was missed. All I heard was that you missed the consultation. What I mean by that is, if you had it, you didn't ask the right questions to understand the financial situation, right?
It was somebody I knew, so they were rushing it anyway.
That's what I'm saying. You see, this is a prime example, right? Because you're talking about all these problems. Most of the problems agents face are side effects, not the root cause. The root cause is, if I sat with that brother, he told me, and I went through a whole discussion for 45 minutes, my consultation runs about 45 minutes. I'll take someone to Qahwa House, we'll sit, we'll just talk.
Yeah.
And in that, I'm figuring out exactly what the timeline is. So I went to a listing appointment with a teammate. He was going to list it last weekend. By the end of my appointment, we decided we're going to list it in July, because he's waiting for his daughter's walima, which he failed to mention to my teammate. But once we started talking and relaxing, that information came out, and I said, "Why would you list it right now? You're gonna be homeless." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's true."
Not gonna be able to control.
Yeah. So the consultation was missed, right?
Yeah.
So going back to this, when you do this, you don't become.
Our consultation was in.
Look what happened. The last line is you. Look, agent became reactive instead of strategic, because when you miss the consultation, you're gonna have to do what? Well, I gotta figure out this loop and that and jump through all these hoops. Okay. But again, this is just a mindset. If you guys have questions while I'm going through this, let me know. Inshallah, Joshin, by you as well, please let me know. This is what's gonna happen. Another problem. If you don't educate, who's gonna educate them? The internet? No, somebody will.
Oh.
Somebody will. People are not stupid.
Google.
The internet, Google, or their dad who bought a house 10 years ago.
That's the word. Google.
Right?
Right. In the day.
Yeah. So if you don't educate them, they're gonna go on Reddit. They're gonna go on Twitter, and they're gonna go to their uncle who has 3 houses in Detroit that he bought in 2011, and everything was super smooth for him. He never financed anything. He doesn't know how financing closing costs work, and he's giving them misinformation, right? So what are you supposed to do? Look, they all start distrusting you. You'll see that I've come across so many clients that are way more knowledgeable than me. They're asking me, what's an appraisal? He is in the financial department. He knows what an appraisal is. He's testing my knowledge. How do I explain what an appraisal is? Buyers are looking for points to distrust you, and that's their right.
Yeah.
They're hiring you, right? So
You have to take control.
yeah, and you have to show and if you don't have knowledge is power, right? That's why you're here right now. If you don't have knowledge, then yeah, you are gonna look a little bit silly. Appraisal is that thing the bank sends somebody, right? And they'll tell you, well, why didn't you tell me? I know how much it's worth. I'm paying this much. Yeah, but they'll still tell you it's still worth that much. So I'm paying 200, and the bank told me it's 200. What's the point of that? I already know it's 200. There's a big reason behind an appraisal. You have to know that. Okay, what's your role here? Your role is to reduce anxiety, not add to it, especially for first-time home buyers. They don't know what's going on. So when you educate more and more and more, they feel less and less stressed, okay? And that happens from you not begging over a deal or like running and I have to make a sale happen, right? It's more about like, do you actually need this to happen for you in your life? So look at this. Without this mindset, is buyer stressed out, and then the agent casually texts him and says, just a heads up, the underwriter needs more docs or we can't close. Horrible phrasing. But people talk like this. People talk like this because they're like, I gotta get, because they've probably been annoyed by this buyer who's been delaying, and now he's down a deal. Real estate is the only thing he does. He hasn't closed as many houses as he needs to. His mortgage payment is coming up. He needs the, bro, submit the docs or we can't close. no one cares about your financial situation as an agent. We have to understand that. No one cares if you're broke. No one cares if your bills are not getting paid. No one cares if you're having marital problems. No one cares. Do you think you care about the marital problems of Apple CEO? No, you want your phone the way you want your phone. We're gonna keep going with that analogy. Does anyone care about who's making the engineer's life? I want my iPhone the way I want it. Like that, they could care less, and they should care less about your lifestyle. What ends up happening is agents end up conflating this, and they start thinking, well, look at what I'm going through. You're getting a deal. No one cares about you. You have to understand that you're doing a business. You're a service provider, right? So don't give last minute texts like that. Instead of,
also
yeah, please go ahead.
communication.
Yeah,
You don't know how to communicate with your buyers.
yeah.
You don't know how to phrase it right, use the right words, and you're gonna end up having
Horrible phrasing, or we can't close, right? Okay, here's my question. What would you guys say in this case? Okay, we're about to, they submitted the documents, underwriter came back with more conditions to fulfill, okay? And you're expecting to close 4 days from now. Well, think about it, don't rush, think about it. What would you, or how would you approach your client? Think about it from A to Z.
I mean, this
Think first, take your time and then think about it.
thinking about it from when you first
Yeah.
mentioned it, right? This gets a lot easier if you explain the process from the beginning. Like, hey, if everything goes smooth, this is how.
That's
it's gonna
true.
go. But there are times underwriter will ask for additional, and the faster we get those in, the less challenges we will have. And if you get to this point and you're annoyed, like, because you already
Yeah.
you're chasing them and they're just slow, right? At this point, you can be like, hey, we have a deadline. This is when it needs to be submitted. If not, we're gonna have challenges or there's gonna be delay.
Okay, that's your answer. Jushin Bhai, what's your answer?
I mean, again, going back to the beginning, we're gonna level set expectations.
That's okay, that's fair, but now we're here.
We may run into hurdle, and what we do, we have to buy time and we need to do what we need to do to get things moving forward. But if it gets delayed, it gets delayed, and we have to follow protocol, and that when that occurs, right?
Okay.
So you go and ask for extensions. You have to.
My question is, what are you saying to your client right now? I want to hear about the communication to your client.
I mean,
Instead of that-
this is what we are, and what needs to be done. You kind of lay it out, but you have to, whether it's over a phone call or over, you have to explain to them that this is where we are now, and we
Okay.
need these documentations. Now, this may delay the process. If it does, then these are the things that we need to do when if it gets delayed, right?
Yeah.
But you make sure you give them the urgency, and in a way that it makes sense to them and doesn't freak them out, right?
Okay.
Doesn't raise their anxiety, but
Good.
I guess together you work with them and
elaborate on the process.
make sure that you understand their pain
It wouldn't
points
be
and
as
you kind of
simple
work
as-
with them.
So
I would
here,
add also one thing.
yeah, go ahead.
So if it's a closing supposed to happen like 2 days later or something.
Yeah,
so
4 days out. That's the example.
days.
Yeah.
Seller is expecting to finish that too, right?
Yes.
So I would also tell the buyer that, hey, we came wherever we are,
Yeah.
and in order to move forward, we need to provide these things. What I will do in the meantime, I will talk to the buyer agent to extend it if the deadline is fixed.
Good.
So that way I'll do my part. And
Yes.
we can go move forward together.
Good.
That's the comforting also.
So you guys are coming together with one solid answer. You see that? I'm gonna add one more aspect to it, which is what makes agents stand out from other agents. Okay, so what you gave is the good standard answer, but what makes an agent stand out is when he says, "Never text, you call." That's the first thing. That's why I said, "How would you approach?" I didn't say, "How would you text?"
No, so-
Then one second.
Sorry.
Then the second thing you do is when you're calling them, you say, "These conditions are from the lender. Let's get on a 3-way call. You, me, and the lender. I will help you understand each of these conditions one by one. They should be very simple. Look, I'm using words to take away stress. They should be very simple. We have to define what kind of docs these are, which is what you guys are saying, elaborate, right? But use words like this should be very simple. We'll knock it out within a day. When he hears all three of us, he feels like it's a team effort now. We're all involved. Is it your job as an agent? No. But if you do it, you will step down, right? I gotta quickly move forward because I want to get this. I have some statistics for you guys. This is directly from NAR, right? You can't just randomly say stuff without putting some data to it. So let's talk about it, right? Age of home buyers. You can see across the map going across. Here's what buyers want the most from real estate agents. When they were asked, what did they say they want the most? 49% said what? What do they want?
Find the home.
Right.
Help find the right home. That's what they said they want from agents. Okay, let's go to the next slide. You guys ready? And there's a huge discrepancy. Next slide. Ready? benefits provided by real estate agent during home purchase process. This is where buyers felt that the agent did the best job, which is what? What's the number one thing? Help buyer understand the process and pointed out features or faults with the property. What happened to find the right home? Buyers think they want their agent to help them find the right home. But buyers feel good when their agents explains the process and points out flaws and mistakes. So when we think, let me find them the right, no, you don't gotta find them the right home. You do these two things. This is statistically proven. You do these two things, it's only a matter of time, process of elimination, until you can help them find the right home. People are so focused on the home, what do they say? They say, oh, this house is good, and this house, they're adding comments not needed. But if you just focus on these two, look, one is 53% and one is 55%. That's a major like portion of what's happening in terms of not percent of 55-44, making up 53% altogether of this part. But pointing out the features and helping them understand the process is what's really important. So they might think they need something, but what they really need is this. And you need to be able to explain that. You see how this understand the process? Am I showing them faults in the consultation? No. What am I showing them in the consultation? The process. Does that make sense? So just by doing that off the get-go, you're setting this and you're ahead of pretty much everyone else. Here's what I want you guys to do. If you do take consultation seriously, your clients will take you seriously. Commit to using the consultation slide deck every single time. So I use a slide deck to go through, and I'll tell you what it does. It protects me legally. Okay, what I mean, like this. Yeah. I will take my laptop to Kahwa house. I open my laptop. I said, let's sit down. I had a husband and wife sitting in front of me. I got them Madani tea. We're having a good time. I have my laptop. I don't go anywhere without one laptop. Okay.
It also helps you not miss.
Oh, 100%. I'm not missing anything. I'm not missing anything. You can go on 5, 10. I'm gonna say there's one more slide left. Hold on. I gotta finish it. You see what I'm saying? So this protects me. This is for me, right? So when you commit to doing it every single time, guess what's in my slide deck? The process. Guess what's in my slide deck? The fees. Guess what's in my slide deck? The timeline. Guess what's in my slide deck? The expectations. Even down to when I am showing them houses. One of my slide points says showing availability. Hey, I'm assuming you work 9 to 5? No, I actually don't. I work at a factory. Oh, really? When do you go to work? I go to work at 10 p.m. Oh, so when can you see houses? Literally, this was a conversation I had. Said, bye, I can see houses at 10 a.m. So that sounds great. I have a showing agent. He's available in the morning, can show you. Because I'm in school in the morning. I'm not going to say no to him, but I have a showing agent. Now I know how to approach him. Versus, imagine I ever ask that question. Tomorrow he texts me, let's go see the house. Okay, cool. When do you want to see it? 10 a.m. I'm in school like an idiot. He's like, well, this is office hours. Why aren't you available? I just lost my whole reputation out the window. Versus now I said, this person is your showing agent. He will be with you at 10 a.m. Are you good with that? Yeah. He started talking to him the whole time. I'm like, that's great. Sorts it out for me. Set the expectations from the get-go, right? And that way you don't miss anything. Go ahead. Huh? Yeah. So it makes you look formal, man. And no agents do this. No agent. And every time I mention this, I flex. I'm like, I want you to go consult other agents and see how many of them does this for you. I'm like, go ahead, go check. Check any brokerage you want. None of them do it. Maybe the broker will do it just because the guy cares about his overall formality. But agents don't do it. I know they don't because I know agents, right? But if you do it, I've shared my slides with so many agents, they never open it. I've already done it for you. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? But over here, personalize them to your style. So don't be a robot, be a human being and talk normally, right? But key topics are there. Like I said, timeline, fees, pre-approval, stuff like that. This is the call to action. So here's my question for you guys. This is just part 1 of the training, right? But my point was this. I'm logically bringing you through this. Look at the logic. Logic is, what are you looking for in this training? I asked that question. So you know your expectation. I know your expectation. Then I said, here's why consultations matter. I'm giving you a big why. I'm giving you 3 points. Then I'm telling you mistakes, meaning if you don't do this, this is going to happen. So now you know the warning, right? Allah does this in the Quran too. He talks about this. This is good. This is bad. This what happens if you don't do it, right? Then you figured out, okay, how does this actually do it? You're running a business. So a lot of agents don't want to do consultation because why? It's a waste of time. Waste of time. Yeah, because they don't see the value. And they're like, well, that's my... No, that's like your overhead, right? I'm going to do my consult. That's our overhead time. That time is for every single client.
Time in for the long run.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, it does. It does. And then there's a training on how do you show houses, and what do you say when you finish showing the house, and how do you minimize showing houses. You know what I tell people? I say in my consultation, I say, look, we're gonna help you go through 3 houses on the first day, freebies, make them crazy. Pick any house you want. Okay, don't even worry about it. I just want you to see houses. We're not gonna offer any of them. He feels relaxed. He's like, all right, this is actually what I really want. Right? And we go see it. I'm like, that sounds great. Okay, cool. What was the pre-approval for? Oh, 400. I'm like, this is 550. I'm like, you know what? I think we can do it. Really? I'm like, yeah. Do you think we can get the pre-approval for 550? Maybe yes, maybe no. You never know your clients. Don't underestimate and assume on their behalf. Like, oh, approval is 400. Maybe the guy could actually afford 500, but he got 400 for himself.
Intentionally.
Yeah, you don't know that. Don't assume. Never assume on your client's behalf, right? Now, this is statistics. So, like, if you don't believe the stuff coming out of my mouth, believe the numbers at least, right?
I saw this. It just came out recently.
Yeah, I got it right from the report, right? So the numbers should at least give you some level of conviction. Now I have some questions for you guys, right? How many of you found value in this training? Going back to the question, there's 3 of you guys. The first question is, did you guys find value in what I discussed? It was short, it was tight, but did you find value in it?
Yeah.
Would you say you found value?
Yeah.
How about you? Did you feel like you learned something that was of value? What about you, Joshin Bhai?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, my takeaway, if I may,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
my takeaway was really relieving the anxiety of the client, because it is a first-time home buyer. You have so many questions.
Yeah.
Certain things, right? The entire process, going over that with them, just alleviates them of that
And I'm gonna
initial anxiety, right?
And we're gonna see how to do that exactly step by step next week, like how to relieve the anxiety, because each slide is a point of relief that you'll see in your slide deck.
I
Okay.
100% agree, man.
Yeah.
I think it starts
Very
with
valuable. And again, ensuring that the communication is the key to smooth surfing, right? So for them to be able to feel that this guy is taking his time, explaining the process.
Yeah.
In the future, he's just not gonna leave me hanging.
Exactly.
So having that like certainty, right? That
Yeah.
this guy is gonna be for me, working for me
Yeah. Yeah.
through and through. That's a huge relief, and that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Good.
From this.
Customer, what you're saying?
it starts off with lowering our own anxiety first.
Yeah. Good.
When we understand what we need to present to the buyer and what is important as far as the buying process, it makes it easier for us to actually relay that to them, and in turn, of course, it reduces their anxiety.
Yeah.
So a lot of learning for us to do on our end too before we can present.
We gotta ignore our bank balance. I'm telling you, brothers. The more you think about your bank account, you have more anxiety. What Kasaba is talking about, bro. I have had situations where my bank account was horrible, and a deal got canceled. I cannot control my emotion. That has nothing to do with the buyer. That's me doing a disservice to the buyer. Does that make sense? That's very important. You were gonna say something?
No, you finish it.
Oh, that's basically what it was. Go ahead.
So, me coming from the engineering side, I always feel like I need things to be defined first in order to, before I even go to my PM or anyone.
Yeah.
So if client is the biggest one whom I'm working out, right? I need to find a way to his expectation.
Yeah.
So the more formulated question you have in the
Yes.
consultation, I know exactly, or like I couldn't be saying exactly, but I have a framework.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the engineering mindset? You need things laid out. It
Right.
works against you sometimes. I
We
have that.
all gotta
But
get
is it,
comfortable with
what I'm just trying to tell is like, find a way to get information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
more I get it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's easy to steer. Like I understand like what the mindset is coming from. But
Exactly.
the car, when you're buying the car, the guy is like, "Oh, you got it home. What car you driving today? So now you have a Honda Accord. Now you can do a Cadillac. So what changed? Did you get a
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have that structure though, it's
Right,
easier
exactly.
to
It's easy because
get
they
all those
already
responses
trained
and
to
those
ask the
answers.
questions and
Find
they
what's
know.
motivating them.
Right.
What's
Good.
making them the
Because
move.
why all of a sudden you come into Cadillac?
Like what changed?
What changed?
And when you have a slide deck, you don't lose track of the questions to ask.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, you need to become good at what you do,
Still
though.
use the ones that you gave me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I updated it actually. Yeah.
I made some changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, you do need to become better at your job, though. This is like a general comment.
Yeah.
Like after doing it for a few times, you should be able to just go in the I'm at the basketball court Sunday morning. Someone's talking about houses. I know what questions to ask while I'm waiting on the bench. It shouldn't be like, let me pull out my slide deck, because otherwise you're not gonna become relevant. You're always gonna be a beginner agent who never learns how to train other agents. If it doesn't become like this in your head, does that make sense?
Skill you pick up.
You have to, because you have to consult more. The more people you consult, right? Like when I'm working with Mohsin, I had a goal. So every week I would have 2 consultations, and that happened for a few months.
Are you still training with him or?
Yeah, I'm still under him. Yeah. Quick question. This is the second one. How many of you would attend part 2 if you had it next week, Thursday, same time? It's gonna go over the actual slides. Now look, this is what's happening. Zillow, let's assume Zillow is Kausar Bhai, okay? You guys are all the buyers. I'm the agent. And the house you want to buy is session 2. Kausar Bhai brought you guys in because he's your broker. He said we have a team meeting. Just like Zillow will give you a lead. You guys are buyers thinking maybe I'll buy this Saeed Khan's training, okay? I have to sell you session 2. So what did we have right now?
Why?
A consultation. This was a consultation. You just went through a consultation because I asked you, what are you expecting to get out of this training? And if I actually delivered what you said, then most likely you will say what? I want to attend part 2. Does that make sense? And just like how you feel that if you found value in this training or consultation, when a client sits with you, they will feel the same thing you're feeling. So if you feel like this guy was confusing, he didn't make sense, you'd be like, nah, I don't want to attend. If it was boring, I don't want to attend. If you just made stuff up, no, it's some data. Okay, sounds kind of legit. Maybe I should attend the next one. Does that make sense? This is all it is. If you felt value enough to attend the session, then I did everything I could to convert you. Remember, you don't want to ruin the conversion, and the conversion goes to the next part. That's pretty much all I had for today. I do have to rush back to class, so forgive me. The meeting will end, Joshim Bhai. If you have any questions, shoot me a text. You have my number. And then I will be here next week, inshallah.